What's going on, everybody? Good late morning, and we are back on the offensive coordinator beat. I know we've already dug pretty deep here, but we're not done. And the way I see it, we may as well explore everything while we can, because in a handful of days or maybe a week or two, we're going to have an offensive coordinator, and these discussions are going to be benched for hopefully the foreseeable future because the new offensive coordinator is good. But while the conversation is there to be had, let's go ahead and have it. And let's have it with Chip Kelly. And I saved this guy for pretty late in the process. Um, no particular reason, but I do know that this is a guy who a lot of people ask about. So maybe that was an oversight on my part. I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to save something good for the end of the line here because I knew this was going to be an extended process and I didn't want to only have super dark horses at the very end. But Chip Kelly is a name that a lot of people have thrown out there as a coach that should be considered to be the Seahawks offensive coordinator this upcoming season. And it does make sense why. He's a big name. He's coming off a very successful season. In fact, it's actually kind of worked out very well here where I get to make the Chip Kelly video the day after he helps lead the Ohio State Buckeyes to a national championship game. So it's actually worked out well. I'm not too upset about that part of it, but that doesn't necessarily mean he would make a great offensive coordinator. That doesn't mean he has what it takes to really succeed in the NFL the way we would want him to. But there's a lot to like. He's a very sharp guy. He's done some great things in football, and his resume is worth a look. He's an older guy, but he has a lot of experience, and a lot of that experience is as a head coach. And some of his head coaching resume is good. So, as an offensive coordinator, he is more than qualified. So, let's go ahead and talk through it here, understanding exactly what we'd be getting into with Chip Kelly. And to speak generally about Chip Kelly, I think most people understand what's going on. He's a spread guy. He likes to run his offenses really fast. He's not imbalanced. He's not obsessed with throwing the ball the way I honestly feel like Ryan Grubb was significantly more imbalanced than Chip Kelly. But Chip Kelly likes to go fast. And he does like his spread offense, even though I do think he does a good job running the ball generally. So that's not the part of it that really concerns me that much. The part that concerns me with Chip Kelly is the fact that that style of offense is going to be inconsistent. You're going to have some games where you have 500 yards from scrimmage, but then you're going to have some where you have like 180. And there's not a lot that you can do, save having overwhelming talent at every position. So, like I said, Ohio State Buckeyes coach, offensive coordinator, and QB coach this most recent season. So he did his job in 2024. The Buckeyes had an elite offense, 12th in the country, almost 36 points a game. Will Howard has elevated himself into the early day 3 conversation for draftable quarterbacks. 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 picks, 73% completion, 170 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns. The guy is good. I'm not enamored with him, but he is good. He can play, and he probably belongs in the NFL in some capacity. So Chip Kelly, I would say, did his job about as well as can be done in 2024. So kudos there for sure. Going back to before Ohio State, however, you had UCLA, the UCLA Bruins. He was the head coach there for 6 years. 6 years. And for the most part, he did a good job. And 2023 sunk his UCLA career. They had a below average offense, 26.5 points per game, 70th in the country. But before then, he was delivering, man. It culminated in 2022 when they had an elite offense, 8th in the country, over 39 points a game. But you can see the way he was building up to that. The year before that, they were 13th in the nation. The year before that, they were 20th. That was the COVID year. The year before that, they were 80th. The year before that, they were 98th. So with each year, he's moving the team up a little bit until they got to the point where they had an elite offense. And remember, that offense had some talent. It had guys like Charbonnet. It had guys like Dorian Thompson-Robinson. But he wasn't loaded. He didn't have Caleb Williams. He didn't have Marvin Harrison Jr. He had good players. And I think he did well overall at UCLA, but 2023 just he couldn't survive it. Now, we have to go back before then to get to his NFL experience, and it's mixed, right? He was the head coach for the San Francisco 49ers in 2016, and they were awful. They were 2-14, got the number 2 overall pick, and scored barely over 19 points a game, which was 27th in the country. So, not good. Nothing good to say about that. Not a lot of talent there, not a lot of opportunity to succeed there, but he couldn't get anything going. And before then, he was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, 2013 to 2015. And honestly, as a coach, he was good. He did good work as a coach. Problem was, the Eagles also gave him general manager powers, which was a big mistake. And he was so bad as a GM, he ended up losing both of those positions. Before the end of year 3, he got fired. And again, I want to stress this. As a head coach, he did good. As an offensive coach, he did his job. Even in 2015, the year that got him fired because they went 6-9, 23.6 points per game, 13th in the league. And during this period of time, what are the quarterbacks that he's working with, right? Like 2015 was what? You had a little bit of Mark Sanchez. Well, no, I think that was after Sanchez left, but you had a little bit of that might have been like the Sam Bradford year. I think there was a little bit of like maybe Nick Foles was still there. He didn't really have a quarterback. And they were still in the upper half of the league in terms of scoring. And in 2014 and 2013, the 2 years he actually did pretty good, 10 wins, they had an elite offense. 29.6 points per game, 27.6 points per game. And even these years, he had Michael Vick and Nick Foles and Matt Barkley at quarterback. He still didn't have a quarterback, really. Michael Vick was decent for a while there, but he couldn't stay healthy, and you get what you get. So I think that when you take a look at this, you would say he's doing his job. Now, there is a lot baked into this, right? The Eagles' offense, even though they scored a lot, they were inconsistent. They would occasionally just have a really bad game, and they would be kind of worn out by the end of the season because of how fast Chip wanted them to go. But the results were good, and there was a period of time there where defenses really had a hard time figuring out what to do with that offense. You can say they figured it out a little bit at points, but to me, it was almost like an random number generator box. There wasn't much you as a defense could do about it. Either the Eagles would bring it that week and you couldn't stop them, or they wouldn't have it and you could stop them. Okay, so that is the full length of his NFL experience, and again, it's not bad. I want to stress that when he had decent players, and I'm just talking decent players, he did good things. I just don't know if it's enough to say he's going to be able to be consistent at the NFL level. There was not a lot of consistency with the Chip Kelly Eagles. Now, there was consistency with his Oregon Ducks. He was an Oregon Ducks coach for a total of 6 years, and the Ducks were consistently very good offensively, but the Ducks also had incredible recruiting classes, incredible talent at almost every position, the ability to rotate players, which you can't really do in the NFL like that, and he was basically able to dictate everything. So I don't know how much we take away from that. Over 4 years as the head coach with the Oregon Ducks, Chip Kelly won 12, 12, 12, and 10 games, so 46 games, and he lost 7. So that is a phenomenal run of success, and it was mostly done on the back of an elite offense. They averaged, if you take a look at the last 3 seasons he was the head coach, they were averaging over 46 to 50 points a game. 46 to 50 points a game. I know it's college. That's still crazy. First, second, third in scoring in the country those 3 years. Somehow they averaged almost 50 points a game in 2012 and still weren't first. It's wild. But 2009, his first year as head coach, was the only year where there was a little bit of maybe sub-elite results, but it's still great. 36 points a game, 8th in the country, 10 wins. And the 2 years before that, he was the offensive coordinator, 2007 to 2008, Oregon's offense elite, 7th in the country, 42 points per game. Year before that, 12th in the country, 38.2 points per game. So really, really good. And it's an almost unimpeachable record as that Ducks coach. Again, the question is, can you supply him with the same commensurate, relatively speaking, level of talent that the Ducks did? The answer is no, you can't. There's just no way. It can't be done. It's one of those things where in college, you can put together a roster that is so deep and so talented, the other teams don't even have a shot. Can't do that in the NFL. And the years before that, he actually spent an extended period with the New Hampshire Wildcats. And the New Hampshire Wildcats are actually where Chip Kelly really made his bones. He was a coach for them for a long time, over 10 years in total. He was an offensive line coach. He was a running back coach. I think he was like a quarterback coach at one point. He was an assistant. He worked his way up in the New Hampshire Wildcats before the Oregon Ducks found him. But I'm only going to focus in on the offensive coordinator stuff because honestly, it's really hard to find anything about the New Hampshire Wildcats in the 90s. If you want to try to dig around for it, go ahead, but I didn't have much luck. So I'm just going to focus in on these 8 seasons where he was the offensive coordinator. And it's mostly pretty good, right? The last 2 years really stand out. 05-06, 35.3 points per game, 41.7 points per game. New Hampshire was one of the best teams in their little bubble. 34 points per game, 30.5 points per game. Really good as well. Earlier on, a little bit more in the middle. He had one bad year, 2002, 18 points per game. But other than that, it seemed like he was producing results as the OC. 30 points a game, 26, 29.5. I mean, there's results, right? It wasn't always amazing, but it's New Hampshire, right? They're not going to have the most choice talent out there. And this is where Chip Kelly proved that his concepts could work. Oregon took a shot on him. It worked beautifully. And he ended up working for 4 years as a head coach in the NFL, which I know it ended with him going back to college, but working for 4 years as a head coach in the NFL is not nothing. This guy has definitely called plays. He's called plays pretty much his whole life, it feels like. You don't have to worry about his ability to call plays. And I'm pretty sure he called plays for the 49ers, and I'm pretty positive he called plays for the Eagles. So he did it in the NFL with some degree of success. And maybe he's learned something. I don't know. I think there's something intrinsically inconsistent about the Chip Kelly offense at the NFL level. But it'll be fun. You'd have a lot of fun with Chip Kelly. The question is, are you going to win at the highest level with Chip Kelly? That, I think, is going to be a little bit tougher to deduce. And because of that, I am not super into this. I think it'd be really fun. And fun is part of this, right? We watch sports to have fun. We watch our favorite teams play to have fun. And Chip Kelly would bring that. Would he bring championships? That's a little bit harder for me to envision with what I know about his offense so far. But let me know what you guys think down below. This is going to be one that I think definitely inspires some polarization, let's say. See you guys later. Go Hawks. I'll talk to you guys later today. We got another OC video, and then we'll see if anything else happens later today. Go Hawks.